the shores of old Lake Erie stands our alma mater true. Fredonia state we proudly honor, with its colors white and blue.
Hello, and welcome to our latest edition of the podcast Reflections of Fredonia. My name is Jack Croxton, and I am a retired emeritus faculty of psychology at SUNY Fredonia. I spent over 40 years teaching here, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience having the opportunity to meet so many students who have gone on to very successful careers. So I began thinking, what should I do in retirement? And I thought, well, it would be fun perhaps to set up a podcast where we would be able to talk to alumni from Fredonia and give them an opportunity to think back on their time here and to share some of the things that they're doing currently. We are doing our podcast right here at the college in Fredonia at the Fredonia Radio Systems. It is Fredonia's student-run radio station.
Hi, I'm Chloe Kowalik. I'm a recent alum. I just graduated in May of 2024. And while I was a student here at Fredonia, I was a double major in journalism and psychology, and I had minors in English and political science.
So to begin, we have two very special guests today. So why don't each of you go ahead and introduce yourself, give us your name, and when you graduated from Fredonia.
Great. Well, my name is DJ Schier, and I graduated in 2011. I was a public relations major with a minor in leadership studies.
And thank you for having us. My name is Spencer Morgan. I am a class of 2008. I was a history major and had a minor in American studies.
So when each of you first came here, was that always going to be your major or minor, or did you shift anything while you were here?
Yeah, I made a shift. I actually started off music business and found out really quickly that I did not have a skill set in accounting. It was not doing too hot in some of those finance classes. I had always been thinking about doing a double major in public relations, and so when I kind of ran into that roadblock, made the choice to drop the music business major and swap over to public relations, and the rest was history. Loved being a part of that program, and the classmates that I had, the instructors that I had, and the whole communications department was just wonderful. So it was a really positive and great move for me when I made that switch.
Like DJ, I too was a music major. I actually came to Fredonia as a vocal performing major and lasted all of 2 weeks. And I actually shifted to a couple different majors, and then finally I settled on history, which really created a great foundation for the career I have today.
Okay, so if each of you could answer this question, what made you want to come to Fredonia?
So for me, it was the music business major was like the really big draw and the pull for me. So at the time when I was looking at colleges in 2006 and 2007, there weren't a lot of programs across New York State. And I was looking to stay in the state at the time. And so I remember going to a few of the campuses that had similar programs. And when I came here to Fredonia, I just fell in love with this campus. And even when I changed that major, I knew that this was still the right place for me, and this was the college I was supposed to be at.
And DJ is one of those alums who, as a student, came from downstate, what we would call downstate.
Right.
So, for many generations, Fredonia has always been the farthest in the SUNY system away from home, but still close enough to get home if need be. I came to Fredonia, again, for music, with the love of music. So I grew up locally in Cattaraugus County in Allegheny, New York. I graduated from Allegheny Limestone. And my junior and senior year of high school, I participated in Area All-State, and that Area All-State was hosted here on campus. Actually, around this time, it was actually in the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving. So my first experience with Fredonia was rehearsing for Erie Allstate in McEwen, of all places, and
Oh,
then
wow.
performing in King Concert Hall. So, being a music student, wanting to go into music, it was a natural choice for me. I mean, I grew up pretty poor, actually, and didn't have the money for, say, St. Bonaventure, being in my hometown, and I didn't want to do the JCC circuit and stay at home, so I opted to come to Fredonia, and best decision I ever made.
That's
Great.
awesome. Cool. I think that's really interesting to hear how you guys kind of ended up here. So, when you got here, obviously you guys are, like, you know each other. So, tell us a little bit about how you met.
Ooh, so funny enough, I was a freshman when Spencer was a senior. And, we were both gay. So, it's a very small community here at Fredonia of that. So you get to know a little bit of everyone. But we actually didn't, we knew of each other, but we never actually spoke
Yeah, our
once.
circles
wow.
always intermingled with
Yeah.
each other.
We told a lot of stories to each other over the years, and we're like, oh, we were both at that same event, or we know the same person. How did we never get
Oh, wow.
connected?
Yeah.
But we actually reconnected through online dating, a little later in our life, after I was finishing grad school. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So, for each of you, how about some favorite memories or experiences that you had while you were a student at Fredonia?
So my senior year, I planned fall sweep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I loved doing that as part of the clubs I was always involved in, like my freshman, sophomore, and junior years. So senior year came around, and there was an opportunity for me to plan that, and I loved the idea of how that event gives back to the local community, but also the community building that it does for our students and our student groups here. And so I just, worked really hard to make sure that the event was a success, that we had a lot of student clubs signed up and registered, and just other groups of students, including like RAs and res hall councils and things like that as well. So that was probably one of my favorite moments here, other than being a part of Lover Call back in the day. That was always just so fun to do, and just it was out of my wheelhouse of things I ever thought I would do in my life. But that was just such a really amazing and cool opportunity as well.
I have a story about a fall sweep. So when I heard about fall sweep, where you come in and you rake leaves, right,
Yep.
for folks,
Yep.
I contacted someone and I said, there's a number of people that happen to live on Gillis Street in Fredonia, and I know they would really appreciate it if students would come by and rake up leaves for them. Of course, I didn't say I happen to live on Gillis Street.
Ulterior
This
motives.
would be a great opportunity
That's smart.
to get my leaves
Did it work?
swept up. It did work.
That's good.
That's
They
awesome.
came down Gillis Street, and I baked them up some chocolate chip cookies,
Aw, that's
Perfect.
and I gave them cookies, and they swept my leaves, and it was a win-win situation.
So you were like the house everyone wanted to go back to
Right.
every year. Like clubs were like, hey,
That's
we're
right.
going to Gillis.
Yeah, and get those cookies.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah. How about you, Spencer?
Honestly, my love of Fredonia comes from the campus itself. I loved the community around me. Again, I was history, so our area here in Fredonia is so entrenched in history, and it has a really great, unique story as a town goes. But I was actually an RA, so I lived in Chautauqua Hall my freshman year. I lived in McGinnis the first semester of my sophomore year, and then I was actually a mid-year hire for Residence Life. So I was an RA in Chautauqua for 2 years, almost, and then in my last semester, I became an RA in University Commons. And at the time, University Commons was just reopening after its major construction.
Oh, yeah.
Because that dining hall had been closed the first 3 years I was here at Fredonia. There was no Starbucks.
Oh,
So thinking back
man.
at a Starbucks-less Fredonia, we were just doing that earlier when we were in Starbucks. I looked at DJ and said, "You probably don't remember Fredonia without Starbucks. I
It-
do.
It made me feel really young.
It made me feel really old. But I really enjoyed the camaraderie I had with my fellow RAs and building those relationships because we formed a family between the dorms and between what we were doing as RAs. I also had the opportunity to work for FSA Catering, which I
Oh, cool.
highly recommend to current students. If you're looking for a job on campus and if you're looking for something that's flexible with hours and just to make some easy money, I loved working with Jeff and Mark and the team at FSA Catering. It was a great opportunity to meet new people and experience a lot that the campus has to offer. I mean, when we think of all of the, for example, celebrities who come for the School of Music who are performing as a catering staff member, I was catering special events that they were coming to after these performances or going to parties at the president's house. So I got to meet a lot of interesting people and a few celebrities along the way just by catering events here at Fredonia. So that's some of my fondest memories I know it's work, but it was fun work here at
Yeah.
Fredonia. Some of my favorite times working were here at Fredonia.
Cool.
Great.
So actually, speaking of work, we're going to shift the conversation a little bit. So DJ, you're up first. So we have your resume, and we saw that you worked a lot in like higher ed, particularly at Villa Maria College.
Yep.
So what is your current position, and what is that experience like?
Yeah, so I am currently the Dean of Students at Villa Maria College. So I've been at Villa for close to 10 years, and it is just this powerhouse of a school in Buffalo. And I've loved every second I've worked there. I started off as the director of student life there, so planning campus activities and working with all of our different clubs on campus. And a few years later was able to step into a director of student affairs position before stepping into the dean of students role. And so I love working over there. The students are so creative. They're really, right now I'd say some of our bigger programs are in the video game design and animation spectrums. And so like the work that those students are doing is just so cool. And as a gamer and, a lover of animation in general, whether that's like, a Disney Pixar film or some anime, they're just the coolest students around and they do some really amazing work. So consider myself really lucky to be over there at Villa Maria.
So what would you say maybe is the most gratifying aspect of your job? And then what do you find to be the most challenging?
So I would definitely say that the most satisfying part and what I love the most is I currently not this semester, I'm not teaching it right now, but I love when I'm able to teach our Core 101 class. So it's a freshman seminar course. And one, it's a great way for me to connect with students that are first entering the college. They're fresh there, and I love to be able to be a resource for them and get to learn more about their story. The whole class is designed to learn more about the college, how you fit into the college ecosystem and the culture there. And one of my favorite parts of that class is when we do our service day. And so we go out with your classes and you go and you do work out in the local community. And I've requested to go back to the same nonprofit year after year. I actually just went there again, even though I wasn't teaching the course. I was like, hey, can I participate? And can I go with students to that nonprofit again? So that's, a huge highlight of that is just getting to work with those incoming students, learn about their experiences, why they came to Villa. And it really helps guide the work that I do there. And then on the flip side, in higher ed, you wear a lot of hats. So, sometimes that poses a challenge, but, it's always a fun one to rise to. But, sometimes it can slow down some other things you're working on, right? Because you're, being called into a different area to focus on maybe something that's currently happening or a bigger project. So, sometimes that's a challenge. But, one I like to rise to, it keeps me busy, it keeps me on my toes, and it just keeps me active. But sometimes, you want to take lunch, right? Like you actually want to take lunch.
Right. Okay. How about you, Spencer?
So I am currently the executive director at the Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural National Historic Site, otherwise known as the TR site, is the only national park site in Buffalo and Western New York. My career kind of grew from not knowing what I wanted to do as a major, and falling in history was a great foundational step for me. I did go to Buff State, which DJ did too. So we were actually at Buff State overlapping a little bit too. I went to Buff State for museum studies and had a number of different roles in both curatorial roles and in development and marketing positions, which ultimately led me to the TR site. I started in April of this past year. I have some big shoes to fill, as my predecessor was there for 10 years and then 20 years as a board member. But a lot of what we do is talk about the history of the unexpected inauguration in Buffalo, when President McKinley was assassinated, and when Vice President Theodore Roosevelt became our 26th president and took the oath of office at 641 Delaware Ave, Buffalo. We talk a lot about the key issues of the day, and we connect them with the key issues of today. I think that's important. We're coming up on a big election for our country, and still the issues remain the same that we're facing then as we are facing now. So still very relevant in that conversation. But our ultimate goal is to talk about what it means to be a good citizen and an active citizen. So some cool things we're working on right now. Um, we are actually acting as a voter registration location the next few days. And then starting October 26th through November 3rd, we're an early voting location for Erie County residents. So you can come and vote early for the election at our site 7 days a week leading up to November 3rd. We also host the naturalization ceremonies at our site, and that's our favorite event. That's the most gratifying event I have had to date, and honestly, I think it's our favorite event for the entire staff. So around the anniversary of the unexpected inauguration, September 14th, and around President's Day of each year, we host the naturalization ceremonies in Erie County. This past September, I witnessed 28 new residents take the oath of citizenship from 17 different countries in our gallery space. And it was the most rewarding experience I think I've had to date in my career. It was very exciting, and I'm excited about what we're doing in the future. We play around with a lot of cool technology. Well, yes, it's a historic house museum, and you will see a lot of historically restored rooms. But you will experience a lot of interactive technology pieces, and we have more of that coming. We're actually working right now on the design of an avatar who will act as a virtual docent who speaks 30 different languages and is closed captioned. So we have a lot coming down the pike. We're very excited about next steps for this site and taking it to the next level, and we're so grateful to our partners at the National Park Service.
Mhm.
That's awesome. I actually also saw on your resume that you did work for the Fredonia College Foundation.
I did. That's
So,
correct.
yes, what was that like? Like, kind of just still kind of being involved with the college.
Oh, it's exciting. So in 2016, I actually was working at Villa Maria College too, with my
wow.
counterpart over here. And I love Villa just as much as DJ does. And I probably never would have left there had I not received a call about a position at Fredonia. And at the time, we were living in Angola. So we were nestled like right between Buffalo and Fredonia. So for us, it kind of made sense. And the position I ended up receiving, it was an associate director of development, but I was a major gift officer, meaning that I was securing dollars to start scholarships in support of students here at Fredonia. So it was interesting to come full circle.
Yeah.
I didn't know about scholarships when I was a student. I didn't take advantage of anything like that. So it was so rewarding to be here and actually see these scholarships being awarded to students, and also program endowments that were in support of the different programs and departments and athletic teams and clubs. It was great. At the time, we were undergoing Fredonia's largest campaign to date. It was a $20 million goal by the end of 2020. I mean, our timing could not have been more perfect with the onset of COVID. We actually raised close to $25 million by the end of 2020, despite the pandemic. So it was a really rewarding experience, and I had some wonderful coworkers here. Some are still here, and they're fighting the good fight and doing the good work on behalf of SUNY Fredonia. So for those who don't know, and I think a lot of people don't know the Fredonia College Foundation, it kind of flies under the radar. It is in the house off of Central, just off of campus, along Central Avenue. The Fredonia College Foundation is the philanthropic arm of SUNY Fredonia. So we do encourage alums, if you're listening, to please support Fredonia by making a gift to the Fredonia College Foundation and supporting Fredonia that way. Anything that you can give makes a huge impact here for current students and future students.
I know Chloe probably wouldn't want me to mention this, but I will. She won practically every award and scholarship that the psychology department had to
Yep.
offer.
I was
Go,
also
Chloe.
I was the
Congratulations.
Chancellor's Award winner as well.
Oh, that's
Wow.
amazing.
Myself and one other student. So
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
So, for each of you, how do you feel your time at Fredonia helped to shape your career and where you are today?
For me, I was really involved in a lot of different clubs and activities, and sometimes almost to a fault, right? That was like my favorite part about being a student here was being involved and working with different clubs and organizations across campus. And I remember when I was an orientation leader, I had this aha moment where I was like, wait, the SUNY Fredonia is paying me to be an orientation leader. There's a department that's overseeing this, then that's happening. How do I get to be those people? And so it really instilled in me just my overall want and desire to be a part of the higher education community. So, that's where I decided, all right, I'm going to go get my master's in this, talk to some administrators across campus and, really focused some of the opportunities that I was provided to really hone my skills in that area while I was still here at Fredonia to set me up for success when I was going to grad school. And so really, it was just the birthplace of me deciding that that's where my career was going to head, because I don't think you're, a high schooler going to college thinking, yeah, I want to work at a college, because you're not even there yet. You don't
Right,
even know what
yeah.
that means. So really kind of instilled that value of me of just, being an educator. Definitely probably full-time faculty would probably not be in my wheelhouse. But
Say that.
being an administrator was definitely I was like, wow, that's great, because you get to work with students in a really different capacity. And I have so much respect for college administrators and for faculty, especially with all the, changing times and things that are happening across our country and in the world. And, them being at the forefront with youth, right? And helping shape the future for them as well and being there as a resource for them. So I enjoy being able to play a part in that. And Fredonia was that part for me to decide that that was where I wanted to go.
DJ sells himself short in a lot of ways because he is an excellent teacher. And he makes a huge impact in his role at Villa Maria College. The students there look up to him a great deal. And, I know you don't see yourself as an educator, but you really are in a lot of ways. For me, I wish I had, someone like a DJ in my life when I was a student just starting out at Fredonia at 18. I was very naive when I came here, and I really didn't know myself until I came to Fredonia. I didn't learn an appreciation for people and for our culture until I was a student here at Fredonia. And that's really where I grew up as an individual, where I learned an appreciation for myself and where I learned an appreciation for art, culture, the sciences, museums, everything. I learned that here. And I, being a natural introvert myself, I learned how to engage others here. I really learned why places like Fredonia and museums and arts are so important to us as people, which is why in my career, I've done everything I can to support arts, culture, and education, either by raising funds in support of them or managing these institutions or developing staff in support of these institutions. It's so important to me, and those were all values that were instilled in me as a student here at Fredonia. So, I have a lot to owe to Fredonia. It is my second home. I always call it my second home because this is where I grew up as a person.
That's
Great,
awesome.
great sort of testimonials. I think you could both have a second career as PR people
Yes.
for the college.
So
We're
kind
ready.
Yes. No, that's awesome. So kind of our our little bit of a wrap-up question. So what advice would each of you offer current Fredonia students?
Oh, definitely just to take advantage of your time here. Like, try that thing that you never thought you would do. Join that club, go to that event, take a chance. And just because you go to it doesn't mean you have to commit to it, right? So take those chances. Try something new while you're here, because after you graduate, those options and the kind of that freedom that comes with that, starts to dwindle as you kind of move through, whether your next career moves or if you're going to grad school or things like that. So really just take advantage of that time while you're here. It, feels like it's a long time while you're here, but then, now, looking back, I'm like, wow, that was such a short amount of time. I would love to go back with the knowledge I have now and like do it all over again. So take that for what it is, take advantage of just all the awesome opportunities that Fredonia has to offer you. Take a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. Take a chance. Also, I would add to that, don't underestimate yourself and don't underestimate the opportunities around you here at Fredonia. If there's a program or a class that might seem intimidating and you don't want to take it, the likelihood is you probably should. Because it might be something that could come in useful or handy in your career. I mean, there's so many classes I wish I had taken at Fredonia. In hindsight, looking back, I wish that this was something, there were a couple programs that I wish that I had been more involved with as a student because it would have benefited me in my career. I would also add to that, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and this comes into my line of work as a fundraiser, no one likes to ask for money, right? It's the most intimidating question in the world. Hey, can I get some support? Ask for help. I mean, if you need help as a student, ask for help. If you need help trying to find a position or start your career, ask for help. It's perfectly okay to ask for help and support. And if not here, then where?
Right. Yep. And in particular, you might want to think about that fall sweep. And even if you want to come by, even if they want to come by on their own
Yeah.
and rake up some leaves at 22 Gillis Street,
Heard
Fredonia,
it
New
here,
York.
folks.
Stop by.
Cookie factory.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap up here, anything else either of you would like to add at this point? I think you've really had a lot of good things to say.
No, just thank you to both of you for having us today, for letting us participate in this. We're here with the Writers at Work series. We're here yesterday and today, so we're really excited just to be back. So this is just amazing opportunity while we're here to, I don't know, also I come back to my stomping grounds with the radio station. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chloe. And thank you to Natalie Gerber and Jen Wilkins, and of course, Patty Feraldi for supporting the Writers at Work series. We're so glad to be back here on campus. To current students, good luck. I mean, you're in the right place at the right time, and I'm so excited for you. And to our alumni friends who are listening, we love you guys, and we miss you guys. We wish we were all together here again. So thank you.
Well, thank you again for appearing on our podcast today. I am Dr. Jack Croxton.
And I'm Chloe Kowalik, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Sing its glory and its praises. Let them ring forever true. Beloved is our alma mater, Fredonia State